Okay, let's talk about graphing a line by using substitution. So I'm going to write an equation here. We have y equals x plus 1. And I'm going to substitute values for x and solve for y. And I'm going to make an xy table here. And I'm going to just plug in a different value. So let's say I want to plug in the value of 0. I like 0 because 0 is the easiest number to work with. And so I'm going to plug in 0 plus 1. And when you do the math, 0 plus 1 is 1. So y equals 1. So when I plugged in 0 for x, the y value I got was 1. So I'm going to plot that point, 0, 1. The x goes across, the y goes up and down. Keep that in mind. Let's do another point. This time we'll do positive 2. I'm plugging in positive 2. So notice in the xy table I put a 2 there. And I do the math. I get y equals 3. That's my y value. So I go from the point of origin, I go over 2 and up 3. That's my next point. And we'll do one more point. Let's do a negative point. Let's do negative 1. We'll plug in negative 1. So if I do y equals, I'm going to do negative 1 plus 1. And when you do the math, you get y equals 0. So x is negative 1. Sorry, let me make this a different color. X is negative 1, y is 0. You see that they all fall on the same line. This is a linear pattern. I'm going to draw the line, and it should look like this. Okay, you're just substituting values for x and then solving for y, and that will give you your x, y, and the coordinate pair. Now I'll show you another one. Let's do another one. Let's say we have a fraction. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm plugging in values for x and solving for y. Again, the easiest value to always plug in is 0. So I'm going to plug in 0 here, and it will look like this. So order of operations says I have to do multiplication first. So 1/2 times 0 is 0. And then 0 minus 2 is negative 2. And so I'm going to plug in a negative 2, and my first point would be 0, negative 2. Okay. Second one. Let's plug in, let's plug in a positive 2. I'm plugging in positive 2 because if I plug in 1, I'm going to get a fraction, and I don't like to work in fractions. So if I can stay away from that, I'm going to. And I know since this is 1/2, if the number is divisible by the denominator, it will keep it a whole number. So when I do 1/2 of 2, that's just 1, and 1 minus 2 is negative 1. So when I plugged in positive 2 for x, and I solved, I got negative 1. And so I'm going to go over to positive 2 and then down to negative 1. And I can draw my line. I really only need 2 points to draw a straight line, and that's how I would graph by using substitution with both a whole number and a fraction in there.